All right, guys. Hey, Maddie, how are you?
Well, I'm good, but hopefully we are sounding better. We were joking, like every time we do a podcast, we're gonna sound better, look better, have better quality of the
Right.
podcast, or just
Yes.
get better and better. So hopefully this sounds better now that I have a microphone.
Hopefully. Yeah. And we both ordered the same microphone. Mine came in busted. So Maddie doesn't know how to use technology. So I couldn't prep it for her. So the next episode is going to sound even better. Like, if this sounds good, amazing. It's going to sound even better because we're going to have like the right parts and know how to like use the technology. Cause I don't know, I feel like my parents or older people are always like, "How do you do this?" And it's like, I don't actually know. Like, I'm not that good with technology. I just like YouTube things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, you were having your fridge problem, and in my head, I'm like, I need to help her fix this. And I'm like, what is your fridge set at? And you're like 37. And I'm like, oh, after that, I don't know how to help you. So it's like, did you YouTube it or like
I
Google it?
know. Someone actually told me in the DMs, they sent me a link and it's apparently usually I'm like, if I'm gonna buy something, I'm gonna look at the reviews. Like I feel like
Yeah.
everyone does that. Like I look at the reviews, like people tell me what's wrong with this product so I don't buy it.
Yeah.
And I think it was before, no, I think it was before I moved in with my husband, maybe after, like, right when I did, I wasn't like about to, I mean, I did throw away crap when I moved in, but I wasn't like, telling him what appliances to buy. And he was buying a new fridge and he just,
Ah,
went to Home Depot and bought a new fridge. And I'm sure he didn't look at, the reviews. And apparently Samsung has like billions, millions of dollars in lawsuits because all of their fridges under the deli little
yeah.
pull-out thingy, they all like freeze and they all leak. And it's just like an
Jeez.
actual thing. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
If I were buying that, I would have saw that. So anyway,
No,
long story
oh
short,
my God, yeah.
this girl sends me a link, was like, watch this. And this guy shows you how to fix it with like a $6 kit on Amazon. I was like, sweet. It's sold out. It's like 3 times the price now. So
Of
will I
course it
ever
is.
fix it? Right. I'll never probably truly fix it, but I have to, defrost that gunk grossness
That is
out
so annoying.
eventually. That's my
Eventually,
free.
it's like, that's like tomorrow's problem. I'm gonna do like
Oh,
what I can. No, I hate that shit. I get like anxiety about buying like big purchases because I'm like, I have to read the reviews. And if there's like one negative review, I'm like contemplating. I'm like, is this person just kind of an asshole and they like hated the thing? Or like, is it
hmm
really bad? Like, that stresses me out. And then I go on TikTok and I'm like trying to like, do people have it? What are they saying? And like, it's conflicting. Like, I go down the rabbit hole and then I kind of forget like what I'm looking up and I just get invested into like other people's stories and experiences.
Yep. Yep. Real quick, you might want to pull your microphone a bit
Oh,
because
okay.
it's like I'm getting I don't know what you
Is it
would call it.
crackling?
Yes.
Okay, if it's crackling, I can also take it out and we can just go rogue with the headphones.
I mean, whatever you think.
If you think it sounds bad and this is happening like while we're recording, which I love, we're just like, hey, your microphone sounds like shit. If it's bad, I'll take it out and we'll just go rogue.
Okay.
Because I can't hear myself. I can't hear crackling.
Oh, yeah. I hear it at the end of your words.
So should I take it out?
Probably. It might
I'll
get
take it
annoying
out.
people.
Is that better?
Talk again.
Hello, testing.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is very on brand for us. We're like
We
just
just
trying it out as we go.
it's our motto. Uh what is our motto? What do we talk about when we were texting the other day? Messy action.
It's
Just
messy
take action.
action with
That sounds
everything.
better,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, okay, perfect. All right, great. See, we're testing it with you guys. Maddie's gonna be honest because you guys are probably like, what the fuck? This sounds crazy. Maddie's like, I got you guys. So speaking of TikTok, we were texting earlier about like today's topic, and I'm really excited about it. And I was like, oh, I want to share this TikTok with you. And you were like, okay, I have one. I don't know what it is. So this is like a first kind of reaction. So what was it?
So you know what? I don't know if this person was being truthful to their age because honestly, in the comments, it was a big debate on what her true age was. but she was like, things I do at 14 years old to like uh, keep my skin young forever. And there was
14?
some, yes, 14. And there were some such funny stitches, of course, like, because but you're 14. Like when I was 14, I don't know what grade I was in. I can't remember grades. I see a little kid,
Maybe
I'm like, what are
like
you?
ninth grade or eighth grade, maybe.
Something like that. I'm so bad with kids' ages. I'm like, you're 5, right? And they're like a teenager. um,
It's either like you're 5 or you're 12, and I don't know.
yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know.
Right. And what did I say? Oh, and so yeah, she's like, things I do at 14 to make my skin like, stay young. And it's just like that, like I was saying, like when I was 14, I was just playing. Like I was maybe starting to hang out with people, but like I wasn't like I was doing sports, so I wasn't thinking about my skin. Like,
Yeah,
sure, that would have been maybe better. I don't know, but like to have that focus, not focus, to have that be on your mind at
that
freaking
worry.
14, yeah, that worry at
Yeah.
14 years old, and people were stitching, like, what the hell? Like, you're literally 14, like,
And was
be a
it
child.
like about like anti-aging products, like wanting to
Yeah,
like,
like all the stuff she
yeah,
uses. Like, I didn't watch the whole thing because I was like literally having PTSD. But she
yeah,
was
it's a
like,
little like much.
yeah, I'm sure she was like wash eyeing and doing all those things. But like,
Right.
when is it enough? Like, when you're
Mm,
14, you should focus on being a freaking child, not focusing on your skincare. So when you're 20, you don't have a freaking wrinkle. Like,
right. And I mean, it just speaks volumes to like what one, like this is like the topic that we're talking about today, like aging, like how it's different for men and women and like the perception. And it just speaks volumes to like the pressure that young women feel. And like at
mhm.
14, I remember like either 12 or 13 or 14, whatever. I had like pretty bad acne. And that was just my concern. Like I had all the face washes, I was doing all the things, and like it wasn't really working. So I went to my doctor. We were talking about different medications. And that for me was really important because I felt really self conscious. But it was not about, I want to look young. I need to preserve my skin. Like that was
Mhm,
the farthest thing on my mind.
mhm.
It was just ugh, I feel really self conscious and like, I don't know what to do. So like, this is my main focus, acne. And like, I think that's normal for, that teenage years because you're discovering yourself, your body's changing, like you're figuring this
Mhm.
shit out. And so just the pressure of adding on all of these things, plus we have to worry about anti-aging. That's a lot. That's for
It's a
14.
lot.
Holy shit. That's crazy. That makes me sad.
Yeah, like when's enough? Like when's enough is
Hmm.
enough. Like it's just, yeah, that's a whole nother thing about kids being on social media. Like it's funny because like I don't plan on having kids, but like for some
Yeah.
reason I'm like super, I wouldn't say passionate. I'm more just like a big proponent for not showing kids on social media,
Yeah.
but we could go down that a whole nother day. But
Yeah.
at 14, like it's upsetting. And like even like I sent a good TikTok to my sister, and it was a girl like saying like each thing that she uses, like, it just went from one to another to another to another. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's just hard always having, I feel like the skincare industry is going through the same thing that the health and fitness industry did. Like you're adding another
Yeah.
thing, adding another thing, adding another thing. And then like it's just confusing for how many products that you need and
Yeah.
what does what. And and it kind of reminds me of how like, when we start working with a new client and they're like, should I be worrying about organic and not organic, and free range and not for free range? And I always like tell them like we can worry about that stuff way later on. Like
Yeah.
let's just focus on the basics. And I feel like skincare is going through that same thing where people are getting inundated because of TikTok, really, with all this new information about what products they should have when they haven't even nailed the freaking basics of wash your face in the morning, or not wash your face in the morning, whatever the new theory is,
Yeah.
wash your face at night. Put sunscreen on. People still aren't putting sunscreen on. So you don't need the 10 billion bajillion steps if you're not putting
You do
sunscreen on.
not have, yes, you do not have the luxury to worry about a 10-step skincare routine if you're not wearing sunscreen.
100%.
Period, blank, end of story.
Just like you are not allowed to think about dieting if you're treating your body like absolute shiitake. if your sleep is
Yes.
terrible, if you don't have any see sunlight, if you're not getting any steps in, if you've never, thought about lifting a weight in your life, like, what else? If you're not eating enough food, if you're
Yeah.
eating like 500 calories a day, which I know a lot of you guys that maybe are listening probably still are, don't even think about dieting. It's the same world.
It really is. And I think it's hard because, again, like people get so enamored and just like, they're like, I have to, like with skincare, I have to do these things because I'm seeing this influencer and their skin looks flawless and I want my skin to look like that. It goes back to, like physical health and goals, like people being like, oh my God, your body is gold. What are you doing? I want to do that. Or they don't know what the person's doing and they're like, fuck it, I will just diet. I will cut out the chocolate, my wine, and it's going to be hard and strict, but I'm going to look like this person. And the reality is like, you could diet your whole life and you are probably not going to look like a person that you're like body goals in quote, like, because you're your own person and like everybody looks different. And I think just skincare, yeah, it's going through a moment right now. And like, even, thinking back to anti-aging. I remember seeing commercials of Jennifer Aniston talking about like Aveeno and like talking about anti-aging and how you're supposed to start at 21. And so at 21, I started with all of these anti-aging products and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like, I think these are good stuff. And it just was, it's a lot of pressure. And like, even now, whenever you think about going outside, it's like, okay, I need to protect my face. I don't want to get wrinkles or I don't want to get like discolored spots from the sun. So it really, for women, it's so consuming. And one of the TikToks that we were talking about, which is going insane and it's kind of funny, but like, if we look at it deeper, it's kind of an issue. The aging filter, where like women are trying it. And like, I'm sorry, if dermatologists are saying like it's pretty accurate, I know we're talking about anti-aging and like, or how women put pressure on themselves with aging, but I look insane. Like I can't possibly look like that.
Okay, real question. Are you pro? Okay, I am pro. Do whatever the F you want to do with your body and face. Like it's your choice. Do whatever you want. But for you, could you see yourself getting a facelift?
If I looked like that filter, yes. Like
100%.
1,000%.
Sign
like
me up.
The filter was insane. Like I'm sorry. It was crazy. And the thing is, I wouldn't feel outward pressure. Like, oh shit, I don't look a certain way. So I need to get a facelift. Because when I was younger, I always wanted a boob job. I had really tiny boobs.
Really?
Literally from like 8 years old. I was like, when I get older, I want to have big boobs. I want to have a boob job. Oh my God, totally. And now, since, breast implant illness, is that what it is called?
Yeah. I think so.
When that really started to take off and people were being really vocal about it, I was like, oh my God, like that changed my entire perspective. And it changed to kind of like, I don't need to or now want to do something because of other people's perception. Now I'm like, don't look at me. Like, I don't want attention. Don't look at me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to do something for somebody else. And so if I were to get
you think it was an attention thing?
Well, I think it was just from watching like a lot of reality TV at a young age and like seeing and in music videos, like me, my sister and our best friend, we used to like during the summers, like we would go down to the Cape and like if it was a rainy day, we'd like put on MTV and we're just like, we're like, oh my God, these women are so cool and so beautiful. And like, we want to look like them. And like in the magazines, like all this shit that like we were surrounded by, like, granted, it wasn't on Instagram or TikTok, but we were consuming media through the magazines or through like reality TV. And I think that made a huge impact on my little brain. And I mean, thankfully, I wasn't in a family because I know like didn't what's her name? Bella Hadid have like a nose job like under 18?
Oh my God. I've seen so many clips of the Hadid mom, whatever her name is.
Yolanda.
Yolanda, like just like
She's horrible.
Like body shaming them. Like, of course, she built them up to what they are, but like, if I had to get built up that way, like, just I'm not signing up.
No.
Like, not
Right.
signing up.
Like
But
Gigi in one scene was like, I feel like she was modeling. She's like, I feel sick, mommy. Like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And she's like, chew a couple of almonds really good.
like,
If
how
that, what? How are you? Like,
I
that
can't
to me,
imagine. I hope
no.
that girl is in so much therapy because, like, whether she believes it or not, some of those behaviors and trauma will pass down to her
Yes.
kids. Like, whether
Yeah.
she thinks it's happening or not, like, just in habitual things that you do, you don't even
100%.
think about, you know? But it's funny you brought up the boob job thing because me and my sister always talk about how, like, we were like, can we have no boobs? Like,
Yeah.
I would love just to have like that's my favorite part when I go through diet phases. It's like, oh yes, I'm
I
losing my
lose some
boobs.
I think it's like you fall on either end of the spectrum. Like thinking about the
Yeah.
early 2000s, it was like really, really skinny. Like I'm picturing Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie, like the
Uh,
low rise
coming
jeans, like
out of the
every,
club, like, you
yeah,
know.
like, yeah, it's like insane. Or you're like, you see like the Kardashians, and now they are, allegedly removing things from, implants and all that sort of
Allegedly.
bullshit. But you fall on either end of the spectrum, and it's like, to be youthful and to be hot and to be attractive, I have to fall into one or two categories, which is, again, so much pressure for women and like young women. And like,
Mm.
imagine if you and your sister, like growing up, like you did have like fuller chests and like you developed earlier. Like if you were like, oh my God, I hate these boobs, I just want to be like that skinny model, like that's
Mhm.
also a ton of
Mhm.
pressure to put on a fucking kid.
Yeah, 100 million%.
It's crazy.
I had something I was gonna say, and then just went like out of my brain. Literally. But yeah. Oh, what I was gonna say is kind of like how kids know, kids now growing up for sure now, like they obviously get an iPad so little, and then they're
Yep.
like, their parents are just like, whatever. Of course, sorry, there's someone mowing the lawn if you heard that. But kids get iPads so early, and then I'm sure like as a parent, you're like just after a while, you're probably just like unfazed by like
Yeah.
what your kids are getting onto. And next thing you know, they're on social
Totally.
media. So kids' social media, but for us, it was 17 magazine.
Yep.
It was the Disney Channel where everyone was so cute and so little, was doing 101. Like that was what we grew up on, seeing low rise jeans, a concave belly. Like that's what we
Yeah.
grew up on.
Do
And
you remember the picture of Jessica Simpson in a magazine? And she was like a size 4. And everybody was going fucking bananas. And
yep.
I'm
Did
not gonna
you
lie,
that
in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, she does kind of look fat. And I look back now and I'm like,
I know.
she's a normal girl. Like she's a normal woman with a normal body. And like, even if people did think she was fat, that's not your fucking opinion. It's like early
A hundred
2000s,
percent.
wild.
Two things. When we get
Yeah.
savvy enough, we need like a little icon that will show Jessica Simpson or show whatever we're talking about,
Oh, we
That
can
way.
put that in post,
Oh,
like post edit,
I was like post.
post show
Got
when
it.
you
Got
edit
it.
it. I can put a
Got
little
it.
pickup. I got
Yes.
you.
Perfect. But if anyone here has not read her book yet, I'm forgetting what the book is. Did you read it?
I'm not fully done with it, but I started
Oh,
it because I was hearing buzz about it, so I was like,
oh, so good. And I got some feedback on it. People were like, it sounded like she was drunk when she was writing it because she battled a lot with addiction and alcohol. And I don't
sure,
know if she sounded drunk. I think that's just the way that she talks. And it's very
sure.
huh?
I said sure.
Oh, they said sorry, I couldn't hear me. I think the way that she talks is just very, I don't think she tries to come off something she's not. And maybe
Mm,
people were thinking like, oh, she's a celebrity, she needs to be more poised, and like it's very, very. I don't think you need to be well spoken, like, and not everyone's like that. And I think that she wasn't pretending to be that. I think that's why people thought she sounded drunk. I don't know, but I
yeah,
didn't get that coming off of her. It was real and raw. I loved it, and that was like the
yeah.
first maybe or second celebrity memoir I read. Amazing.
Yeah, and I just loved to hear from her because again, when we think about what younger girls and women look at in terms of what I need to look like and how can I stay young forever. We look at these celebrities, especially from like the early 2000s. I feel like that was a
Hannah
really,
Montana.
and probably, yeah, probably 80s and
Literally.
90s, but for us,
Demi
it was,
Lovato.
the early 2000s. Yeah, like we were looking at all of these people as that is our guide, that is our model. And as soon as somebody says they're not the right way, we're going to be like, oh yeah, no, they are no longer somebody that we should be following. And I think for somebody like, Jessica Simpson, like these child stars, they grow up, they're always in the limelight, they're always having so much pressure put on them. And so for her to come out and just be herself in this book, like that is reclaiming some fucking power. And for people to be like not supportive of it is just like kind of speaks volumes, because she's out here like living her truth and like being her authentic self. Because she's probably been judged for so many years.
I even read, you probably read this already in there, but how when she finally got her first record deal, like it took her a long time to get there after she was singing with like church music and church choirs, things like that. They're, as soon as they saw her, and then like literally like the ink's not even wet in the paper, they're like, okay, you need to lose 10 pounds, you need to wear less clothes, you need to be sexy. Like she was like young, like I don't know if she was 15 or like just 18, whatever it was, she was young. And that's the first thing they did was like sexualize the shit out of her, because sex sells in the music industry, and
it's interesting to think about that, like from the perspective of like, would they say that to a man? Probably. Right away? Tell him to lose weight? Definitely. Like maybe a 1%, but they might be like, we want you to get buff, or we want you to be like, maybe we'll say, there might be an outlier, but most of the time, no, because they're probably going after these attractive guys. Like she's an attractive girl. And they're probably like, no, these guys are perfect. Like they're perfect. They're not going to put pressure on them. Or if they did say, hey, you need to lose weight, the guy would probably be like, no. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, like she got better as she got, she got better, she got older, but sound out from the comments if you know any dudes that got that feedback. Yeah, I haven't heard that. Like, well, okay, if we're talking about like celebrities, who was it? Recent movie, Robert Pattinson. He refused to lift weights and get stronger for Batman. I'm pretty sure he refused to.
Which I love. Okay, vibe.
Right.
Perfect. I mean, like if you don't want to do that.
Right, but like, it's okay. Here's where I might get a little beef, but like, it's Batman. Like, he's supposed to be he's supposed to be strong. Like, I don't know. That one, I'm kind of like, like it's a movie role. Like it's a character. Like
okay, I get that. Yeah, if you're going out for a part and these are the parameters, I think that's appropriate. But I also think it's appropriate, and I think it's healthy to be like, I don't want to do that. And then it's like, okay, well, you don't have the part. Then you don't have the part. 100%. So I think there's a balance. I think because Rebel Wilson, I don't remember how long ago this was. I was listening to an old podcast. So this situation's older, but it's still relevant. When she did Pitch Perfect and her character was Fat Amy, which I always hated, like just call her Amy, but okay. Another episode could be all out of that one. For the second movie and the third movie, basically they told her she couldn't make any drastic changes. And obviously a drastic change would be losing a lot of weight. And so she felt like, in a sense, like Hollywood kept me fat and I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to, be healthier. And then she came out with this, drastic weight loss. Yep. But again, I think, yes, advocate for yourself and say, I'm not going to do that for a role. But also, if that's your character and that's what you signed up for and you signed that contract, then I think it's like it's a tough position to be in. And like, I would not want to be in that. Like, I am not that I ever want to be in the industry, but being in that position, I feel like would be really, really hard because like you committed to something, but then you're also thinking, I'm maybe not happy, or maybe I want to just be healthier, or I want to change my look and not being able to. And I feel like that happens more with women than men. And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a man is more gonna like speak up for themselves and really be like, that's not fucking happening, and like pull a Robert Pattinson and still get the role.
Oh yeah, I agree. And did you hear that on, I feel like I heard that same podcast episode with Rebel Wilson on Nick Bell's podcast.
Was it on that podcast? It
I
might
think
have been.
so.
I'm like,
Yeah,
don't know where I'm hearing it from, but okay. So I'm
we
like,
listened to like the same three things.
yeah.
But yeah, that was really interesting. And like that was also a really interesting conversation about like comedy and how it's like the stereotypical, like the overweight person, like ha ha ha, like jolly, funny, you know, and they get stuck in
Like
that
that
role.
trope is just not, it's not it.
Yeah, and that happened with a male actor. Who was it? Paul Blart, Male Cop, what's his name?
Oh God, yeah. They made him like this
Same
loser
thing.
dorky.
I want to
Yeah.
say it was him or someone like that who was talking to Joe Rogan, and they were saying the same thing. Like, if you lose weight, you're gonna lose spots in like comedy roles because they want that overweight like person who
Right.
very average Joe gets the hot chick, you know, like they want that
Right.
trope. And then he was like, dude, like take care of yourself, you know.
Right.
But
Because if it's really coming between a role and like your own health, whether it's your mental health,
your
your physical health,
sanity,
your sanity, it's to a point, it's not worth it. And I'm
I mean,
assuming these actors, to me, and I'm assuming these actors have the money to turn down these roles. But imagine like a new actor, somebody that maybe isn't making a lot of money and they're like, fuck, like it, or just like somebody that's trying to get into a modeling gig or something. Like, think about like the people that maybe don't have the opportunity to say no because they're like, fuck, this is my big break. And I have to like fall in line with these standards. And like, I don't want to do it, but it's like, this is my passion. I've been trying to get into this industry forever. And I feel like I'm like compromising myself. Like, that would be a really hard position to be in, especially I think for women. Like, I think because we're so much more critical and just like from a young age, it's like you're worried about all of these sorts of things.
Oh, I agree. And I can't remember, I saw it on TikTok. It was I believe she's an actress. She's probably in her, I don't know, 40s or 50s now. And she said something like along the lines of, you know, don't make the most interesting about you be like the outside appearance of you.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna change. Like I feel like I battle with this in my mind. Like I, you know, want to do the skincare things. Like I want to feel good. Like I like personally feeling really good. And I feel like when I feel better about myself on the inside and like how I'm presenting myself, like I just do better in general. Like I did my eyebrows today. I was like, oh, I feel good. Like I, you know, they look better to me, you know. But then I also try not to like let that always be like, you know, the thing that like is it's not good, then I feel crappy, you know. So it's like, and especially as both of us as being so much on social media, like, you know, we tiptoe the line of, you know, always making sure we're on point to like, you know, not letting that overtake things. And like a mentor of mine said to me, like you know, crap, what did she say? Something along the same lines as that, like, you know, the most like least concerning thing about you is like your weight, like, or is like how flat your stomach is. Cause like there's so much more to people. And I think the younger generations, even millennials and Gen Zs, like whatever, like it's just with TikTok, I feel like there's just such an increase of like hyper fixating on anything on aging and on looking different. And like it's it's what is it? It's an opportunity. It's like not everyone gets to age. Like stuff happens. Like
I
even think back to
that's a deeper part of the conversation that we
yeah. And I even think back to like when I was sick and at 21 and I couldn't walk. And like I talked about this on Sarah Krieger's podcast. Like I literally like never like did I tell anyone about this personally? Maybe not. But like I was having suicidal ideations because like I was so sick. There was no purpose. I had zero purpose, anything. Like when I woke up to when I went to bed, I was in pain. So like thinking about then, like I wasn't thinking about aging. I was just thinking about why am I existing at this point? So now
Right.
looking back, I'm like, it's a freaking privilege that I get to age and get to have these experiences. And I try to bring that back to bring me back down to like the floor. Like I'm gonna have
Yeah.
wrinkles. That's because I'm living life.
Yeah. And I mean, did you see the Barbie movie yet?
No, I saw a lot of
Okay.
controversy on it, so I kind of
So
want to see it.
I did. I thought it was an amazing, beautiful message for young women, with all ages. Like 4-year-old is really gonna but I think they're gonna be like, oh my God, Barbie's on screen. This is great. Anybody,
Mhm.
literally anybody could see it. It was so powerful. And at one point, Barbie's in the real world and she looks over to this older woman and she's probably 80s or something. She's like a very famous, I think, wardrobe for different things, like or fashion designer. I'm not exactly sure. So like don't come at me. But she looks over and she's like, you're so beautiful. Because Barbie so anything other. Like she wasn't like people were so critical or like people were judging and oh my God, if you get a wrinkle, it means you're not beautiful. And it was just where I was like, oh my God, like say that aging filter was horrifying. But if we get to 80, 90 years old and we look at the life that we're gonna be like, holy shit, I so back then and I didn't always appreciate it. And so it just makes you live in this moment, everything that I wanted to do. And I was thriving in, and I took care of myself and I took risks. I sat on a podcast with a like when we're 80, 90, like if we get like when we get there, we're not gonna be so concerned about all the wrinkles. We're gonna be like, fuck, I lived life and now I like have this of my life. So we like, oh, I could get a facelift and whatever. But like the reality is like aging, it can be it's so cool for women, but like for men are like, ooh, he's a silver fox. Or they don't have to worry about step skincare routine. They wash their face with like shampoo in the shower.
With like
And
a
we're over
dial
here
bar.
like, yeah, and a dark towel, and we're over here like, okay, here's steps. I this, and this, and I really particular. Just suck. I'm just lazy, and I don't want to like wash my face. The thing, but then I think I'm like, I probably should. You got to up to. It's not going to work. Like I get in my own head, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not the most important thing, right?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I did want to add,
Sorry.
your audio keeps cutting in and out.
There was also a horn. I think somebody's car alarm is going off.
Well, that was when the audio cut out, so I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Maybe we should wrap up before we start sounding worse and worse as time goes on.
I'm dead. Yes, let me take one look and see if there was anything else we wanted. Oh, thing, and this will be like really quick. But I think a part of aging, and not even, we're young, like we're still in our 20s. So I hate to, I always feel like I sound like ass when I'm like, oh, I'm getting older. Like I'm trying to be self-aware. I am getting older. There's such a for you, and I think men this, but women, because of our biological clock, if you do want to have children or like that, there is such a pressure to be at a certain place in a certain time, and if you're not there, it feels like you're getting left behind. And like I say this vocally to my like I say this all the time to my sister because it's like she's a traveler, like she doesn't have a conventional life. And sometimes she gets in her head and she's like, I'm not successful enough, or I'm not doing anything. And I just want to say, like, if you guys are listening, like a part of being older and growing up, we all need to be on the same path time because that's not realistic. If you want to go and travel and do all these amazing experiences, do it. I'm gonna start a business and you're like old or am I unexperienced? Like You want to like settle down and have a family? If you can afford it, freeze your eggs. Expensive.
Yeah.
Put them in your freeze. Put them in Maddie's broken fridge, and they'll freeze.
They'll have freeze to burn.
I feel so sad for women sometimes that we get in our head about these clocks. Like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be yet. And if that's my like one thing that I like want to like put the seed in your head, I try and remind myself of that in those moments of stress. I'm like, but whose timeline am I on?
Yeah.
I can be on my own timeline. And I don't know, felt that way like about getting married or like starting a business or certain things, but I just feel for women, it's one of the big things that a lot of the pressures we face with how we're supposed, all the quotes, how we're supposed to look, do, you know, take care of our bodies, what next diet are we following. There's just so much pressure. You're supposed to live your life and what successful means. And like, I just think that's all fucking bullshit. But I also get caught up in it because we're.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I get caught up more in like the business side of things. And like, you know, there was you know, there are people you see for us, like I really try not to follow other coaches' accounts because I am constantly comparing myself to their status, to how many clients they have, to,
Yeah.
you know, whatever persona that they're showing me. Like I'm comparing myself to that. So like I notorious for unfollowing coaches, even if I'm friends with them, because I don't
like,
want to
shade, no shade.
yeah, I just don't want to like I start to hate that person and start to
Yeah.
hate like I hate that I'm comparing myself. I gotta like cut that out. Like I was even talking to my mentor and I was just like, Lacey, I feel like I'm just like, what am I doing? And she was like, Maddie, when I was your age, I was, I don't know, X amount in debt, smoking cigarettes. I was like, oh, and I'm sure she'd be fine if I said that because
she
she's said
keeps
it.
the fucking real.
Yeah, like that's where she was. And like it's just kind of like crazy. Like I'm like, oh wow, like putting in perspective, like I've never literally never smoked a cigarette in my life. I can say that with 100% confirmation with or whatever the term is. Confirmation. I don't know. But it's just so hard. Like I constantly compare myself to people that are like 10, 20, who knows how many steps above me. And it's just the same way that our clients do that when they compare themselves to other people who have the body, have the life, have whatever they want. And like I always remind myself, you can't compare your chapter and your story to someone else's chapter when they might be on chapter 500 out of like they, you know, they're 500 chapters in and you're on chapter 1. Like we can't.
And they may not
ourselves.
have shown where they started. That's
Right.
vulnerable. That's
right.
And I think that's such an important reminder. In your worst days, and this is what I do, and I tell my clients this, and you guys, like on my worst days when it's like, what am I doing? My business. Do I do anything? Am I a loser? What is going on? Because we all get in our fucking head. Like literally, I grab a piece of paper. I write down the things that I'm proud of and that I know to be true, actual. And that brings me to a space where it's like, okay, all right, I was a little freak out because I am entitled to it, but this is my reality some type of way. And I'm going to let myself feel that. But this is the reality. And I know all of these things are true and that they're great. And then tomorrow, if I want to better myself or do something different, I want to expand, I will do that tomorrow. But I'm going to let myself sit in this and like appreciate all the list. And I think that's just like the way it's okay to feel the pressure because it's everywhere. But what I would love for to experience is like love where we're at and appreciating it. And if you do want to better yourself in some way, that is okay. But doing the way you're doing for you and not because you feel like you have to. Because you're good enough, you're good own how you are, how you're showing up, you're good enough. And I think we can get really lost in that because of things we see in the media and how we're like mesmerized and kind of freaking brainwashed
Yeah.
by things that we're seeing, and we're like, oh, I have to think this way. I have to think.
Yeah.
We can fucking break out of that shit. And this is, I think it's also going to be like a reoccurring theme on the podcast that we're talking about, like just kind of breaking these molds, like
Yeah.
a lot of the shit that we see and go through.
It takes time too. So if you're like realizing like, oh, I'm in this mold, like, how do I get out of it? Like, give yourself time. You know,
Yeah.
we'll probably be sharing, just like Allie did, like lots of different little techniques to break out of them. But it really is just a conscious effort you're going to take every day. And you're going to take a step forward, and then you're going to take 3 steps back. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to hate your body when you look in the mirror. And the next day, you're going to be like, you know what? Like, I'm happy with my body right now. I'm not going to like tie my worth to my body. And whatever journey it's on, it's just going to take time. Like, it's not something you can wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm healed. Because like, I wish that were the case. Like, I wish.
You're like Amazon Prime. Like that shit takes time.
Literally. And I feel like almost like mental side of things takes longer than like the physical side of things. Like, how many years in am I am to like working on my health and everything, but like how many years have I been trying to like fix my noggin? A lot.
It's like, do I go for it because I can't see it? That's again,
Yes.
when we can't see the things, we can't like people when we in our own head again. But we were gonna do a shorter episode today, and obviously we didn't do that because
I don't think we're a short podcast. We are not short pod girls. We are long. We want the people that want to listen.
This is our tribe. If you're here, we love you. If you're not here yet, we still love you.
We hate you. No kidding.
we hate you, and
until you love us.
Yes, love me. So, are there any like closing thoughts? Anything that you feel like is really, really important to share? Really intense, but that would be noteworthy to share.
I just think if you find yourself hyperfixating on certain things concerning whether the original topic here was, because we go on tangents, the aging, the wrinkles of that, like take a step back, right? Detox a bit from not like a diet at all. From social. Like if you are finding certain, and it can even be myself, like if I ever trigger you for feeling bad about your body, like take a break from following me. I don't care. Do what you need to do, but unfollow people on social media that are making you feel bad about whatever it is. And when you're not getting constantly inundated with that, you will feel better over time.
It's like what people say, like when you're chronically online, like go outside and touch grass. And I mean, most peace and love, because I've caught myself, I'm like scrolling and I'm seeing all of the influencers or just different people running their businesses and just like blowing up on TikTok. And I'm like sitting there and I get in my, and I'm like, okay, girl, you need to put the phone down and let's go touch some grass. Like, let's get out of our head. Let us feel shit, but also look at the optics. Am I feeling jealous or stressed because of how much I'm consuming? Oftentimes, it is over consuming the shit because like we're conditioned to just scroll now. And this podcast is a way where you can go grass and also listen and get that little like, ooh, I want to like check what people are doing.
And hopefully, laugh a little bit because we're funny.
Yeah, because we are super funny. If it's just me and Maddy laughing at ourselves, that's going to be pathetic. So you guys have to laugh with us.
Hopefully it's contagious, right?
I like fingers crossed. And next episode is going to be, the quality is going to be even better. So you guys for bearing with us on like the first couple of episodes and like if figuring it out and like look at us. If you're like, I know what I'm doing, or I feel pressure to look perfect. This is not perfect, but we're doing it because we want to.
I'm in my living room because my office is still under construction. So one day I'll be in my office, but like we weren't going to let that stop us.
Yeah, literally. It's more important to and have it not perfect. Like society wants you to be has to be perfect and it has to be done the right way. But the right way is just starting if you feel passionate.
Yep.
We're going to end that. So as always, you can find Maddy on social media at, I forget your handle, so insert here.
Maddy, Maddy, dot nourish and lift.
And that will be below in the show notes at Larrabee Coaching. And if you guys want, message us on social. We are going to be taking questions as we go through our episodes because we really want to invite you guys. So you guys had a great little listen. I hope this will be a bright spot in your day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.